I mean, you realize that like everybody starts somewhere, right? Like
Exactly,
these big
yeah.
content creators were not big, they didn't come out the womb and they're like, I have 100 million on YouTube now. No,
Right, like,
they start me. Like, I mean, I'm not that big, but like, I just had to start somewhere, right?
mhm.
So like, better starting somewhere though than, not starting at all. Welcome back to the Mind Composition. I'm your host. My name is Brian, and I'm sitting here in my living room with Miss Samantha Frazzle Dazzle, or actually
Ugh.
Frizzell, but let's just get into it like that. You got a friend, I see. So
Yeah, your cat loves me.
yeah, he's pretty chill. I mean, he only like every time someone comes over, he only goes to them. He doesn't come to me. You saw what my dad was doing to him earlier, so
That's just weird.
he's kind of terrified of me and him. But someone new comes over, he just completely loves them and just forgets about who feeds him and who puts a roof over his head.
I mean, I think it's fair. My dog likes you more than me, so it's only fair that your cat likes me more than you.
All animals love me. I'm just kidding. No, we're not gonna. No, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna say that because I've met plenty of animals that have just
Not like you.
not liked me at all. I mean, my dad's fiance's bird. She kind of like, she likes me, but she like snaps. I'm kind of still scared to pick her up. She's a parrot, so
I don't
like
think
she
I've
sits
ever
like.
met a bird.
Well, I mean, neither have I until 6 years ago when I met her, and she like squawks and screams and screeches, and she also blows kisses at you. She
Aw.
also tells you to shut up, and she says I love you and all this other stuff. And Pretty Bird, but she's still very terrifying to hold. This guy I'm okay with. He's like a little mini mountain lion, so hopefully he doesn't jump over onto the other side of that because he'll bring this whole thing
I'm
down.
gonna try and keep that from happening.
Yeah, well, he could be the featured guest, but. Topic on the board for today is about living life free. So just like this cat, he's living life free, doing whatever he wants. What's some like things like that, recently in your life that you're like doing that's making you live free? Like, what are you doing that's, making you happy in your everyday life? See, now he likes me now.
Well,
Yeah. See, he's a
I
little
mean,
bipolar.
yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I think something that's extremely making me happier than I have been in these past couple months is definitely figuring out that I'm changing my major. I haven't exactly decided what to yet, but mostly trying to focus on my dream and doing that. And it seems to be making me very happy recently.
Because I know that when I met you, you were all about being a school teacher or an elementary school teacher, and now you're not even interested in that anymore.
No, I mean, I've learned a lot. Like, I was a swim instructor over the summer, and I just dealt with very difficult kids, and I realized that, like, kids can be very cute, but they're not always, what's the word? They don't always cooperate and, like,
Well, yeah, they're
do
kids.
what they're told. Like,
they're kids. They're
which-
supposed to be that way.
But, I mean, that's true. But I, like, didn't quite realize that, and then, like, so that's, like, the summer got me thinking. I'm like, okay, do I still even want to do this, or do I want to, like, try and follow my dream and, like, do that? So, I mean, I've decided to follow my dream, but I just have to figure out, like, what major to apply to that.
So you told me a few days ago, yeah, he'll do that too. Just watch his tail because he's a little demon with that one. You told me a few days ago on the phone, and I remember it specifically because I was driving up Tam. All right, you told me that your dream was photography, right?
Yeah.
And when I found that, because I thought that photography to you was just like a hobby. Like to me, it is a dream. To me, it's a passion. So I take it very like seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But when you told me that it was your dream and you wanted to pursue it, I was like, okay, why the hell haven't you done that already? Like, why haven't you, at least taken it a little bit more seriously? To be honest with you, today at the gym was the first time I ever saw photos that you've ever taken, like really good photos recently, as in like within the past week. So
Yeah.
like you want to transition over to the creative arts, right? So what is it you want to do like with the creative arts? Like what is it, what is your driving force in going into photography? Not just taking pretty photos, but like,
I mean, I just, like, I've always been the photographer of the group. Like, so I don't like being normally in front of the camera. I like being behind the camera, and I just love seeing the joy in my friends' faces when I take, like, a great picture of them, or, like, when, like, today at the gym, like, I got so excited that you're like, Sam, this is actually good. Like, I didn't think it was that
You
good. I
showed
was
me,
like,
and I was like, Sam, you were like, oh, they're not good, they're overexposed. And I'm like, Sam, some of these photos I see framed on some of the homes that I shoot, like on the walls. Like, what do you mean this is not good? Like,
because to me, I feel like some of the photos that I take, I'm like, oh, they're like okay. Like,
I
I
mean,
don't ever
yeah,
think they're like, I'm always feel like I can do better.
yeah.
Like,
Like we have those we have those like photos that we take that we're just like, we can do a lot better with it. And then we have the photos that we just like we're all like astounded by, and it's just like those photos that would just keep us like going like forward with it. So like um, the photos you showed me today at the beach, like yeah, it was overcast, yeah, it was crappy editing or whatever you want to say, overexposed or too bright, but
yeah.
they were still like really good. So I mean, what is it like in photography that you want to like do more of? Like, what do you want to shoot really? Because I remember like one of the conversations that we had when we first met was about like going out to shoot and like kind of like picking each other's brains about like the creative industry. So like and I know that you would probably bite off a lot more like for me since I have like the experience with it.
Mhm.
So like, but I was also curious like what is like more in like the creative industry you want to dive into? Like,
That's the part that I kind of have to figure out because, like,
what makes you happy, scenery or people?
that's the thing. Like, I love, like, it's very different loves. Like, I love doing scenery and I would love to do travel photography. But at the same time, love, love, love doing action photography and, like, a lot. Like, that's all I did in high school was my senior year, I shot for my high school football team and basketball team. I took pictures for them and I would spend probably 2 days going through the pictures and emailing them back to myself so I could text them to the players.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. So wait, okay, so you when did you start shooting again?
I've actually really been into photography since I was about like, I've always been into it, but I started doing it more when I was probably about 10 and we would go like to drift races and stuff and I would steal my dad's camera and I would take better pictures than him and I'd be like, "Oh, this is fun." Like
That's
I'm taking better pictures than my dad. That's really cool. Like
that's exactly like how I started. Like, do you know like how I started photography
no,
out there?
I didn't
Okay,
know
so
that.
back in the day when I was 15, 16 years old, I was good friends with this guy named Coleman, and we were like brothers, right? And he
Mhm.
dated one of like our good friends, that we went to high school with, right? And they were going strong for a while, and Coleman started to pick up the camera a little bit. But mainly, what happened was they went through like a breakup, and Coleman was just more like kind of bored, I guess, at this time. So me and him started to go out and shoot a lot more. Which camera did I take? Dad's camera. I took his camera, which is a T Rebel X, something like that. Some really old
Yeah.
1998, 1999 Canon camera that shot like 10 megapixels. It was the worst thing ever. And we just went out to the city to start shooting anything. We tinkled around with like sparklers. We did like landscape photography. We did like portraits of each other and that kind of stuff. And over time, it just started to grow. I mean, like back then, I was thinking I'm going to be some engineer, some
Mhm.
freaking aeronautical save the world type of engineer. And like I knew like I didn't really want to do that with my heart. I just knew that's what I was told, and I guess I was good at it. But since just because you're good at something doesn't mean that you need to do it, right?
Yeah.
So you could be good at English or good at certain things that make a good traits of a teacher. Does that mean you should be a teacher? Absolutely not. So I'm good at math. Does that mean I should be a mathematician? Definitely
No.
not. So I started to explore that branch a lot more, just picking up the camera, just going out and having fun and just meeting cool people, and it just snowballed from there. So I see like where you're kind of like you're in that phase right now. You don't know exactly which avenue you want to take down.
Mhm.
Honestly, I think you just need to get out there and just shoot. It's kind of like my
Yeah.
dad told me this the other night. Mark Twain to the writers, all right, class of writers. You want to learn how to write? Go write. And he left the class. He left. So you want to learn how to shoot? Go shoot. Right now, I'm helping a professor at Sonoma State teach a photography and editing class, and it's a no-brainer. I could do that in my sleep. And some of the students are like, "Oh, I need help with this or I need help with that," and I'll just be like, "Go do it. Go
Right.
out there and do it. You're not going to learn photography sitting behind a desk."
Yeah, you're not
You
going to
got to go
learn
out
how to
there.
do something
Yeah.
just sitting around and not
Because
doing it and reading about it.
if you, I mean, there's knowledge and there's a lot of practice in getting like the knowledge from books, lessons, courses. But if you're not putting that into action, then you're not gonna be able to really, be the best at it.
Right.
You may have the whole knowledge to do it, but you don't know the actual experiences of things. Things change. It's different in the real world versus in the books.
Right.
So when you just go into um, shooting a lot, and just exploring different avenues. Like the photos today that you showed me, they were of the beach, and they were really good. You caught a perfect photo of a wave hitting with the whitewash up on the rocks. That is literally something that I see in these modern homes that I shoot, framed up on the wall as part of the staging.
Yeah.
So you need to have that confidence in your work so far. And number two, drift away from Nikon.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
I'm very anti Nikon camera. I'm sorry if all you Nikon offenders or Nikon, not Nikon offenders. I'm sorry if all you Nikon users are offended. I'm personally a Canon guy, and I'm drifting towards Sony a little bit more for video. But I would definitely recommend jumping into Canon a lot.
I'm working on it.
I know you're gonna be good. You're gonna be good. Like you're in no rush. You're in no rush.
Right.
You're younger than I am. You're a sophomore in college, which is your first year, by the way. How are you liking that?
It's going actually pretty well. I'm glad that I at least have like one half in-person class. Like, so that's going a lot better than just doing, all online again. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm so terrible at learning online.
Yeah. So like. Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah, I don't have anything to say against that. I thought I'd be better learning online. I thought that I would get it. And when COVID first hit, I was like, oh, wow, okay, I can do this at my own pace. Now I freaking hate it. Now it's to the point where it's like, I almost want to go back to my old school NAU, because they're normal there. Sonoma State with this,
Oh, don't even get
I
me
don't even want to go
started.
into the CSUs and the UC systems right now. But like
Yeah.
when I visited Flagstaff, NAU, it just seemed like normal. I'm just like, oh my God, people are in person. The college lifestyle's back. And I had that for my first 2 years, but then all of this stuff fell apart in my junior, senior year. Now I'm technically a super senior,
Yeah.
but I changed my major 7 times. I changed schools 3 or 4 times. I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do until as recent as, 365 days ago.
Right.
So, and I'm 22, like, and that may change. I don't know. I'm hoping that it doesn't. I love what I do right now. I really
Yeah.
do. Like, I don't work a day in my life. I really love what I do. And I know that you'll get to a point too, because honestly, Sam, when I first met you and you told me you wanted to be a school teacher, I'm like, we'll see how long this is gonna last. I'll give it about 3 months before it,
Really?
Yeah, because like you weren't that passionate about it. You're like, oh, I'm gonna be a teacher. I'm like, okay. And she's like, yeah, I'm studying to be a teacher. I'm like,
Well,
you didn't tell me
because
why you want to be a teacher.
Well, there's a really big backstory behind that. So,
Someone told you to.
well, there's a reason that I did want to become a teacher. And I've always been told that I'd be a great teacher, but like I'm realizing that like some kids I just wouldn't be able to put up with, and like that it's not something that I like would love doing like on a daily basis. Like I don't want to be one of those teachers that like hates teaching kids. Like,
Yeah.
Because those teachers are the worst. Nobody likes them, and they don't seem like they're having fun doing their job. Like they're just there to teach. Like they're not there
They
to
just show
actually
up.
let you
They just show up and they're like, all right, here's what you do. Like, I mean, I feel like honestly, I'd be the best teacher ever. I would be
I feel like
100.
you'd be a good
I'd be
like
110% real with all my students.
you'd be that like history teacher that everybody loves. Like
History. I failed history 3 times. Actually, twice.
really?
Yeah, my first semester I got a D. My second semester, I think it was a D as well, or some sort of really low grade. And history is actually my least favorite subject. I feel like I'd be like an English teacher, or like if I was maybe like elementary school, like those teachers that like kind of teach almost everything, math, science, English.
Yeah, elementary.
I'd be like literally like, okay, math, unless you guys are going to be scientists, go to that part of the room and I'll lecture you guys, because if you can add, subtract, multiply, and divide, that's all you're going to fucking
Well, it
need.
also depends like what grade you'd be teaching as well.
Oh yeah, no, these are like, yeah. I mean, I would keep it real with the students. I would teach them woke stuff that, keeps them,
Mhm.
Thinking, and I wouldn't make it about grades, because I feel like in the school system, what are you trying to do? Just get grades.
Well, and like tests are the worst way of like finding out the knowledge of somebody.
Yeah.
Like, and because I have major test anxiety, so I can know everything before the test, and then you give me the test, and I will forget absolutely positively everything you taught me before that.
Yeah, see, like, yeah, same. And it's like, same thing here. I'll be studying for like hours and hours and hours. I'll get on the tests, and it'll just be like, to me, it seems like 10 times harder. And I'll
Hmm.
be like, I don't know if this is my test anxiety. I don't know if it's like, because I'm always usually one of the last people to finish tests. It takes me like 2 hours to finish like a 10-question
Hmm.
exam. But like, I remember there was one exam I took at NAU. It was my favorite teacher, my favorite class to this date. No other teacher has or professor has come close. And her name was Dr. Wade. And she taught thermodynamics and she taught material design. Thermodynamics, if you don't know what that is,
That's
nerding
scary.
out for a second, thermodynamics is the study of heat and dissipation energy. She also taught fluid dynamics, material science, which is more of like the structure of like, I'm not going to go into that. That's a whole nother, I'll
That's
nerd out. Basically, the study of materials, we'll just say that, right?
yeah.
Very hard stuff, all right? Because you're studying stuff at a molecular level, and I was failing the class, and I was like, how am I going to pull this out? Um, I went to her office hours, and I'm like, hey, I need help. And she's like, okay, here's what you got to do it all. And then there's an exam 2 weeks from now. Take the exam and pass the exam, and you may come out with a B. Well, I ended up doing that and ended up coming out with a very high B to an A. But on the exam, I was like, I was sweating, I was nervous. I'm like, this is it. I'm gonna be a college dropout. I'm gonna fail this. This is like, end all be all type of stuff. But it actually ended up being one of my highest grades in that semester. But that's because the teacher, Dr. Wade, didn't favor grades so much. She didn't really
Hmm.
care about your grades. She cared about you. She showed up at office hours that were as late as midnight for me
Oh my
and a few
gosh.
other students to help them actually understand the topic. Not so much, here's what you need to know for the
Right.
exam. And teachers like that are the only types of professors and teachers that really need to be like, in the school systems instead of like,
Yeah.
because you've cheated before on a test, I'm assuming, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, same here, right? Why would
May or may
why
not have gotten caught doing it as
but
well.
but why do you cheat? You don't cheat to cheat the knowledge into your brain. You cheat for what? To get a higher score so
To
you don't go home and your
pass.
dad doesn't beat the hell out of you because you got a C on a test.
Right.
Yeah, no, literally. Every single morning when I was younger, my sister and I love how he's just he's just
He's just
chilling.
vibing.
Every single morning when I was younger, I would hear fights in that office of my dad and my sister banging it out on math problems, and I
Oh
would just and
gosh,
then
no, don't even.
yeah, and then when I entered high school, I got the same exact thing. I'm like, and it'll always just be like, you got to get the grade, you got to get the grade. Well, why the hell do you have to get the grade? What are you teaching?
Hmm.
Like, so
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was like friggin' like elementary, middle school, sitting at the kitchen table with my dad. Like, it's so stereotypical. It's like crying because I'm like, I don't understand. It's like midnight. Like, as a young kid, I'm like, I'm tired. I'm ready for bed. And it's like, no, you have to understand, like, what 14 minus 5 is. Like,
yeah, it's like why? Like,
yeah.
but I don't know, just like I've always had like just a negative taste of school in my
Hmm.
in like my almost my entire life, and I feel like it really never actually helps someone define their life path or like living the way that they really want to live, because it's always like falling into a trap of you just gotta get a degree, get a job, get this, get that,
Exactly.
but it's like people like you and me that are in the creative industry, or aspiring photographers, right? So hard for artists to try and make it, because what are artists looked as? Oh, they're the college dropouts trying to make it, right?
Exactly.
So when you changed from school teacher to, you want to pursue your dream as a photographer, were you really nervous at all? Like, were you ever scared of being judged as I'm a photographer?
Yeah, I've been like, that's like the biggest thing. Like, I've told like two people back in SAC that I'm changing my major. I haven't told like a bunch of people, like a bunch of my friends, that I'm changing because I don't want to be looked at as, oh, like you're gonna be like the person. It's like, oh, like you have to like really get all this work to like make a living and like all this other stuff, and it's like you have to like search around for stuff just to like pay the bills, and it's like that's always like that's why I originally like didn't originally pursue like my dream, because I was always taught that like photography and art was always like something that you had to personally, like you had to already be big to make a living off of it, like, and basically, like, I don't know how to say this, like pursue like what you want to do, because it's like, I don't know, it's just very like
You have to find like attraction with it, right?
yeah,
You have to find it. Yeah. I mean, you realize that like everybody starts somewhere, right? Like these
exactly,
big
yeah.
content creators were not big, they didn't come out the womb and they're like, I have 100 million on YouTube now. No,
Right, like
they start me. Like, I mean, I'm not that big, but like, I just had to start somewhere, right?
mhm.
So like, better starting somewhere though than not starting at all.
Yeah.
So I mean, when I first started, that was one of my biggest things too. Is like, how am I ever going to make it up this ever growing? Because it's always growing. This
Mhm.
ever growing mountain hill of social media, photographer, community. Everyone's getting better. There's new equipment coming out. There's new techniques coming out. It's all changing. I
There's
mean,
new
I
things
feel like I
like
was when me and Coleman started photography, we were pre-wave. We started right before the big wave of everybody
mhm.
getting into it. Now it's kind of like you're starting to enter like after wave. So it's like now is like the peak time to get into the creative arts because everybody's trying to pick up a camera. Everyone's trying to do something because they want to start their own business, which is fine, but you got to make sure you're starting it for like, the right reasons.
Right.
So, personally speaking, like a lot of the male photographers I know, they want to start portrait photography because they want to hang around hot models.
Mhm.
And I talked about this with my friend Charleston on the last podcast or a couple podcasts ago. It was like if you're doing that for the wrong reason, what happens when that goes away, right? Not you, then you got nothing. You didn't get into it because you didn't get into it for you. You got into it for somebody else.
Right.
So there's a lot of people getting into music, any type of the art field to just get clout or just get, some sort of
Mhm.
attention. There's like a cry for attention. I know a lot of, personal people in my life that actually have just tried to pick up something because they just want to cry for attention. Not so
Yeah.
much from the creative world, but just a cry for attention on themselves. They're like, oh well, I want to do photography now. I want to do videography. I want to be an editor, be an influencer. That's the
Towards
word that's thrown around all the
oh.
time. I want to be an influencer. And
Mhm.
then they just try to do their little TikToks or their little videos of stuff. And all it really is they're not doing it for a real main reason bigger than themselves. They're doing it because they want the eyes on themselves, because they don't care. I'm not doing this. I don't care if people look at me or not.
Right.
I'm doing it because I create art and I love what I do. And I know that, if you're true about wanting to pursue a dream in photography, then you're going to find your why too, because it's different for everybody. You could do it because you love seeing the smile on someone's face when you shoot with them, right? You
Mhm.
always been known as a photographer girl?
Mhm.
Yeah. You could do it because of that. I love doing portraits because of that.
Yeah, I think everybody has to find the reason why for what they're doing, whether it is in the creative field or if it is like becoming a teacher or doing a business or anything. Everybody has to find their why, and it's just a matter of time before some people will figure out that they don't have a why, and that's why they're struggling
Yeah.
with what they're doing.
See, unfortunately, a lot of people actually they figure out it's not maybe they might not have a why, but I feel like they figure out the wrong why and they figure it out too late. I mean, I don't think that honestly anything is too late, when you're really trying to pursue something that you really like or love. But I feel like what's worse than that is being told to go down a path that you don't want to go down. And then now that you've put so much time and energy and dedication into it, even though you didn't want to, now you're stuck there.
Mhm.
Let's say you go to school for something you didn't even want to study. Let's say you go to school in general and you didn't even want to go to school. I know so many people like that that wanted to go to school or did not want to go to school, but their parents forced them to go. And now they have this degree that they're 6 figures in debt from, working a job that they don't want to work for, when their
Right.
real dream is like, doing something in the, whatever it may be. Like for instance, actually, tonight when I left my friend's house in Millbrae,
Mhm.
his next door neighbor just opened up a cannabis store. Now I know we're in California, cannabis is legal here, okay? But the point what I'm saying is this guy said that his dream for most of his life was to open up his own cannabis store. This guy was in his like 40s. We talked, we exchanged numbers because he needs content, and I was just asking him questions like, "Well, how long did you want to like do this for? Like, today was his grand opening day in Pacifica," and
Oh
I was like,
wow.
"Dude, congratulations! Because like his answer was, well, my parents forced me to go to school. I worked a job that I hated for 15 years, and for the last 5 years I was working on developing my own store, and now I finally see it come to life."
Mhm.
See, to put that into a little bit of perspective, not many people do that. Who do
Yeah.
you know? Nobody. I don't even think I know anybody besides this guy that's actually worked for 15, plus years doing something that they hate, and then they finally turn their dream around and they're now, self-employed doing their own thing. Now there's different ways to like your different ways in life to like make money or make income or make wealth, but like I feel like a lot of people need to get it that wealth is not measured in dollar bills.
Mhm.
Like I don't care if I'm making, I told my dad this and I told everybody this when I was growing up. I'd rather make $80,000 a year doing what I love. Thank God it's not that low, but I'd rather make that doing what I love than 200,000, 300,000 a year doing what I hate. And there's so many people
Yeah.
that just fall down that path and they're not living. Now they're robotic.
Mhm.
And you seem like the person that's definitely not going to fall down a robotic lifestyle.
Oh,
So
no
figure it
way.
out.
Not in the
Yeah.
slightest. Yeah, I mean, money's not really something that like I focus on. Obviously, I would love to like, be stable and like
Oh yeah,
financially
yeah.
stable. I think everybody would like to be financially
I hope
stable.
so. I
I would
mean,
hope that
like
people just wouldn't,
one thing I do want to try though is the van life.
Okay, yeah, I do know some people that live in vans and they love it. I don't think I personally could ever do that. I
I
don't
would
know if you can find a van tall enough for you to live in,
I would love to
but
try the van life for like 6 months just to see like what it was like.
I
So
say you do 3 months first.
so this is no. I mean, I'm serious. I'm down to try it. So I was on set of 13 Reasons Why and I met this girl, Billy. Stop, let me finish. Billy Webb. Billy Webb. Now you got me thinking of the wrong people. Billy Webb was
How's
this
this my fault?
Billy Webb was this girl that I met on set, and she was so cool. She was 5 foot. I'm kid you not, like, well, maybe not 5 feet, but she was on the shorter side. Really cool,
Like as
outgoing
short as me?
personality. Maybe about your height, right? And I'm not going to go too much into details, but she was a student at Stanford or whatever. And then she, had a life path switch, and she's now currently living the van life. And it's like, and she blew up on TikTok. Now she has like 500,000 on TikTok. She's
my
known as like
gosh.
that one van girl, and she's met a community of other vanners that are just, traveling all over the states, seeing beautiful locations, living free, not worrying about anything. They figure out life on their own. Their electricity comes from a power box. Their bathroom is the environment, like
Mhm.
obviously sanitary, but
Well,
like
yeah.
they've gutted out vans and built it into like modern like homes with like floors and ceilings and insulation and heaters and sinks and all that. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm not saying I would want to live that full time, but like, I'd be down to do that for 3 to 6 months
I could
and
see
just
you doing
take
that.
off for a little bit and just go shoot, travel, and just see things. Because
Yeah.
like she traveled the states. She went to Salt Lake City, Utah, Seattle, SoCal, Arizona, everywhere. And I'm like, dude, she even went to the East Coast.
That's
And I'm like,
crazy.
dude, what? Like, that's insane. Talk about a life path. And she was at
Yeah.
Stanford, like one of the top universities, studying some bio, whatever the heck it was there. And I'm like, talk about a life path. That you're
Yeah.
going from like, I'm gonna cure cancer to like, hey, I drink coffee out of a van. What's up? Like,
Yeah.
that's cool. I love that. Props to you, Billy. Like, you're honestly inspiration at sometimes. So, I don't know, like
I could see you doing that, especially with like how you've been living your life recently.
very
Like
minimalistic.
yeah, like
Yeah.
you have been very like minimalist, like trying to not be on your phone as much. Like
Like I mean, I would not mind throwing both of these phones, the
Oh.
personal and the work phone. I would not mind throwing both of these phones off a cliff
yeah.
for good. These are curses. The only
Oh,
reason why I
yeah.
have them is close friends and business. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. Other than that, they're the most annoying thing. They ring off the hook. I keep them on airplane mode so they don't ring off the hook as much as possible. But like, having that just like disconnect from everything is so like no one realizes it until they do it. People
Mhm.
thought I was crazy. Oh my God, you're gonna not
No.
talk to anybody? I'm like, dude, try it. Go 1 week. Some people can't even go hours without their phone. I'm like, you're a loss.
I definitely thought like, because obviously when you told me originally that you were gonna do this, I was like not in service and I was kind of going crazy, and I was like, he's gonna do this all the time. Like what? And then as like this past month, I've been like, okay, you know what? Like this doesn't seem as crazy as I thought it was gonna be. And this past week, like you and I were talking, I think, at the gym, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put my phone on airplane mode this week. And you're like, okay, good. Like, and I've gotten so much done because I'm not worrying about who's Snapchatting me, what's on Instagram, what's going on TikTok, like,
Who
and
cares?
exactly, I'm like, this is awesome. Like, it's so nice to basically not worry about what's going on social media and other people's lives.
You know what's the saddest thing that I've seen is I saw a viral video. Someone took this girl's phone away for 20 minutes and she was having a mental breakdown in the corner of her room because she couldn't go on her phone for 20 minutes. And it went viral. You probably could find it somewhere, like on the internet.
Probably
Like,
could.
it was the most cringing thing I think I've ever seen from a human being because 20 minutes is like that. We've been recording for 40 minutes, double that. And like, she just had a mental breakdown. She was throwing a hissy fit. She was crying. And then she just was saying, I want my phone back. I want my phone back. Like, I can't live without it. Well, yeah, you can. You're so engulfed into these ideas that are on social media that are basically a control. Now that you can't get out of it. It's hard to get out of it. But once you finally do pull yourself out, you don't want to go back in.
Ask me 6 months ago and I would have been her. I would have been the same person.
Ask my dad about a year ago. All he said was I was glued to the screen. Glued to it. And he called it an appendage. I would be glued. And it's true. I was glued to it all the time I was on the phone. Now, maybe not so much. Maybe about a quarter of the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, this one's not on airplane mode right now. But most of the time I was glued to it. Now I'm glued to the screen up there. You know, but that's because I run a business, multiple of them, and I edit and I have to do content. But I'd rather be putting my time in the content than worrying about what the freaking Kardashians are doing this week on their stupid TV shows. Just for example, like, let's watch celebrities live a life. Wow, okay. How about you just live your own fucking life? Like, retarded.
The only difference is I would have been her, but like, with me, it was like, I used that as a way to cope with my anxiety versus actually dealing with it.
Yeah, see, now you're just running from the problem, diverting it. Now your anxiety gets worse because now you're looking at things that are making your anxiety multiply. Now you're looking at insecurities, trigger points. Now you're looking at things that make you feel worse about yourself. Guess what's happening? Now you're in your head. Now you're thinking more down about yourself. And then you're seeing this negative, toxic, competitive posts on Instagram, mainly is where I see it on. This idea of perfect. You know, everybody posts on Instagram where they're living that perfect life. They're living that, footloose and fancy free. We're traveling all over the place. Money this, money that. Fast cars this, fast cars that. Yeah, great, cool. But that's not your life.
Right.
That's not what you're
doing.
doing.
Do you know how to live life without being that way?
Like, take away all that shit. Take away it all.
Who are you?
Right. I had someone ask me that question probably almost a year ago, maybe a little bit more than that. Someone asked me, take away your camera, take away your this, take away that. Who are you? And my answer was, I'm an artist. I don't care if I have a platform or not. I'm still going to find a way to create something because that's the way that I put my feelings into, you know, that's the way I get rid of my feelings. This to me, and probably to you too, is like therapy. Just talking this out, like, it's literally therapy to me. The way I'm feeling, you know, with like some emotions that go through my head, what I do, I record a podcast. Earlier this week, I was down in the dumps. I recorded a podcast. Earlier this week also, high on life. Guess what I did? I recorded a podcast. What I'd also do is be like, hey, I feel like crap. I feel very moody right now. I'm going to go shoot a set that, you know, for example, back in Flagstaff, my good friend Caitlin and I, she came up with this idea to shoot on the dock. That was like, and those photos came out phenomenal, like phenomenal. They're all done. And I was looking back at them the other day because I'm going to send like all of them to her. But like, I was looking back on specifically on the set of it. And I was like, this is such an inspired mood. We got up at 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning to go to this dock when it was freezing cold. She's in a bodysuit, like a skin tight bodysuit. It was on my story. And we kind of just
gorgeous.
The song that inspired it was I think it was I'm blanking on the name. It was a new album release. I'll know the artist when I hear it. It wasn't Billie Eilish. I don't think it was. I think it was what's her name? She just dropped it starts with an H. She dated G-Eazy.
Halsey.
Her.
There we go.
Halsey.
That took a second.
Halsey dropped in. I think it's Halsey. Should be. Halsey dropped a new album apparently, and one of the songs in there inspired this set that she came up with, and I was like, okay. I was already like rocky on my emotions that entire week in Flagstaff. Oh my!
You
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. And I can tell she was too, because she was, going through her things or whatever. But it kind of helped her divert, um, some of the way that she was feeling, some of the way that I was feeling, into like this lost, kind of just broken piece, if that makes sense, on the dock. She was sitting with her
Mhm.
arms over, and she was just broken, right? And then
Mhm.
I have that look in her face on a close-up photo. Again, you could see it in her eyes, broken. So like stuff like that, you physically see how you feel, and that to me cancels out the emotion. I'd
Yeah.
be like, okay, I see you, you're gone, done, next.
Right.
It's not maybe a way to solve it, but it's a way to cope with it, and it's a lot better than going to
Yeah.
drugs or social media.
The picture that I have drawn of this girl just curled up inside a bottle with all of her emotions around it. And I just remember sending it to you, and you looked at it, and instantly you were like, you don't, you're like, let's do this. Like,
Yeah, immediately.
because I could tell that you realized that if I had seen like how I looked, like, and felt in that way, like, that I would almost in a way know how to get rid of
You
it.
would release the way that you felt, because now instead of trapped in your body, now you have an avenue to like physically look at something,
Mhm.
admire something that is an art form. That's why art exists. Artists pour their hearts into paintings and sculptures and all of this, and it's a beautiful thing. It really is. So that avenue has helped me, find a lot in, you know, uh, getting rid of emotions or just letting it all out, in a healthy way.
Mhm.
So one of the ideas that I always wanted to try was, it's a lot of photographers tried it already, but I want to try it like in my own specific way. It's where you have a naked model for the most part, but there's writing on her body in
Mhm.
Sharpie, very damaging writing, like
Yeah.
harsh words, maybe some racial slurs or something like that. Stuff, maybe not racial slurs, but more like damaging words that personally relate to them,
Right.
or personally relate to like whoever's creating that, scenario, that can, and then find the location for that to be like. So what I was thinking, the idea that I have in my head is, maybe I'm not going to go so much into detail with it,
Mhm.
copycatters out there, but it's more of like, I want a very dark setting, very
Mhm.
dark, lonely, solo setting, but I want that kind of crumbled look again, but
Mhm.
naked, not showing anything, implied nudity, sensuality is what it's
Well,
known as.
yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not the nude photographer. Fuck that. But writing almost every square inch of her body, everywhere. I don't care. Forehead, neck, chest, arms, fingertips,
Probably
everything.
not Sharpie then.
Maybe not Sharpie, but some sort of washable,
Like a
skin
paint
safe.
pen or something.
Yeah, or like paint. Yeah, something like that. Like just to get the writing on it and just crumble yourself down. Because there's been so many times where I've been like, I felt exactly like that. And I know the day that I look at that photo, I feel like that's just going to lift that overhanging emotion of
Mhm.
all the things that I went through when I was younger. I feel like that's just going to lift it off.
And I feel like that's gonna be like the same for me as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's just gonna be very like
I know that once you see
uplifting.
it, you're gonna be like, wow. And then guess what it's gonna do? It's gonna fire you up a lot more. Now you're gonna
Mhm.
want to create something better. Now you're gonna want to outdo yourself. Now you're in a competition with yourself creatively. See the smile on your face? See, you're lighting up. You didn't tell me, you didn't look like this when you told me you wanted to be a teacher.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important for, really to find like what it is, your life path is, be passionate about it, find the why, and then commit. Don't hold back. Really
Yeah.
commit to it. Wouldn't you agree?
Just fully go into it.
Just fully go in, no regrets, don't look back. Because when
Mhm.
I came home from NAU to Bay Area, and when I got the opportunities that I did with photography and took a year off school, or like a X amount of time off of school, I was like, okay, we're going to commit to this.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to regret anything. I'm not going to go back. And if it works out, hey, it works out, great, awesome. I know I made the right decision. But now I don't have to live with that what if.
Yeah.
You'll find that what if. You'll not that what if, but you'll find that reason.
Mhm.
So you're doing great already as it is. Like,
Yeah. And I believe that, God does have a plan for everybody, and we just have to trust in Him and follow it through, even if it's not the plan that we want. Obviously, that's changed for the both of us. We thought we were going to go one way and have
Right.
gone the complete opposite.
But isn't it crazy how like you'll think you want to do something, then God's like, nah, come
No,
back,
no,
yeah,
no,
come back,
this way.
yeah, that way. He'll nudge you in different directions,
Mhm.
right?
And
And then maybe open a door that no man can close and close a door that no man can open. Because there's been so many things I wanted to do, but I couldn't do it. And it just wasn't God's will, wasn't God's plan. And I know the same things happen for you.
yeah.
It's just the way it is. But hey, you know what? He's large and in charge. And I'd rather just let that be the guideline and the light, except for me and my stupid ways down on this planet. But you know what? That's a topic for another Mind Comp. I think we got a really good, solid episode in on this one. We'll wrap it down because we're probably approaching almost an hour. But yeah, just honestly keep doing what you're doing because it's working. And it's going one step at a time. Don't get discouraged and find the life path to follow. And you'll be 100% good. So feel good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Alrighty, so that's going to wrap up this episode. Thank you guys again for tuning into the Mind Composition. Remember, I have episodes releasing every single Friday. And you can catch these episodes on iTunes and Spotify or the full videos on YouTube and IGTV. I will catch you guys on the next one. Again, my name is Brian, and this was Sam. Have a good night, guys.